I found out my aunt opened 3 credit cards in my name when I was checking my credit score before buying a car. She racked up $12,000 in debt, destroyed my credit, and when I reported her, my entire family called me a traitor. I'm going to tell you exactly how she did it, what happened when I confronted her, and why half my family still won't talk to me even though I was the victim. But first, let me explain how someone I trusted could do something this messed up. My Aunt Linda was always the fun aunt. She was my mom's younger sister, and growing up, she was the one who took me to the mall, let me stay up late when I slept over, and bought me things my parents said were too expensive. She was cool. She was funny. She made me feel special. So when I turned 18 and she asked if she could borrow my social security number to add me as an authorized user on one of her credit cards to help build my credit, I didn't think twice about it. And hey, if you're listening to this and thinking about your own family drama, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Drop a like if you want more stories like this. And let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'd love to hear from you guys. She said it would help me in the future when I needed to apply for loans or get my own credit cards. She made it sound like she was doing me a favor. I was 18, about to start college, and I didn't know anything about credit or identity theft. I trusted her. So I gave her my information. My social security number, my date of birth, all of it. She said she just needed it for the authorized user thing, and that was it. For the next few years, I didn't think about it. I was busy with college, working part-time, trying to figure out my life. My aunt and I stayed close. She'd text me randomly, send me money for my birthday, and we'd meet up for lunch whenever I was home. Everything seemed normal. She never mentioned the credit card thing again, and I assumed it had helped my credit like she said it would. Fast forward to when I was 23. I had graduated college, got a decent job, and saved up enough money for a down payment on a car. Nothing crazy, just a reliable used car to get me to work. I went to the dealership, filled out the application, and the finance guy came back with this weird look on his face. He asked if I'd checked my credit recently. I said no. He pulled up my credit report and slid it across the desk. My credit score was in the low 500s. There were 3 credit cards on my report that I'd never opened. 2 of them were maxed out. One had missed payments going back over a year. The total debt was just over $12,000. I felt like I was going to throw up. I told the guy there had to be a mistake, that those weren't mine. He said I needed to figure it out because there was no way they could approve me for a loan with that credit. I left the dealership and sat in my friend's car, staring at the credit report he'd printed for me. I didn't understand how this could happen. I'd never applied for a credit card. I'd never missed a payment on anything because I didn't have any debt. Then I saw the addresses listed on the accounts. 2 of them were my Aunt Linda's address. One was an apartment I didn't recognize, but the name on the account was mine. I called the credit card companies. The first one told me the account had been opened 4 years ago, right after I turned 18. The second one said the same thing. The third one was opened a year later. They all had my social security number, my name, and my date of birth. But the addresses were wrong, and the phone numbers listed weren't mine. I asked how this was possible, and they said someone with my information had applied online and over the phone. That's when it clicked. My aunt. She was the only person I'd ever given my social security number to. I felt sick. I didn't want to believe it, but the addresses didn't lie. 2 of them were hers. I called my mom, trying to stay calm, and told her what I found. She didn't believe me at first. She said there had to be some kind of mistake, that Linda would never do something like that. I sent her screenshots of the credit report. She went quiet. My mom said she'd talk to Linda and figure out what was going on. I told her I was going to report it to the credit card companies and file a police report because this was identity theft. My mom begged me not to. She said it would ruin Linda's life, that we should handle it as a family. I told her Linda had already ruined my credit and stuck me with $12,000 in debt. My mom started crying and said I was being harsh, that Linda was family, and that we needed to give her a chance to explain. I agreed to wait, but only because I didn't want to make things worse before I knew the full story. My mom called Linda, and the three of us met up 2 days later at a coffee shop. I brought printed copies of everything. The credit report, the account details, all of it. Linda walked in looking nervous, and I knew right then that she'd done it. I didn't yell. I didn't freak out. I just put the papers on the table and asked her to explain. She started crying immediately. She said she'd been going through a rough time financially, that she'd lost her job a few years ago and needed help. She said she only opened one card at first and planned to pay it off before I ever found out. But then things got worse, and she opened another one. Then another one. She said she never meant for it to get this bad. I asked her why she didn't just ask me for help or tell me what she was doing. She said she was embarrassed and didn't want anyone to know she was struggling. I asked her how she planned to fix this. She said she was working on it, that she'd started paying the cards down, and that she'd have it all cleared up soon. I asked her how soon. She didn't have an answer. My mom jumped in and said we could work something out, that Linda would pay me back, and that I didn't need to involve the police or the credit card companies. I told them it didn't work like that. The debt was in my name. It was destroying my credit. I couldn't get a car loan, and if I ever wanted to buy a house or get a job that required a credit check, I was screwed. I told Linda she needed to take responsibility and contact the credit card companies herself to admit what she did. She refused. She said if she admitted to fraud, she'd go to jail. My mom agreed and said I couldn't do that to her. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. They wanted me to just eat the debt and let my credit stay destroyed so Linda wouldn't face consequences for committing a crime against me. I told them I wasn't going to do that. Linda started sobbing, saying I was going to ruin her life. I said she ruined mine first. I left the coffee shop and went straight to the police station. I filed a report for identity theft. The officer took down all the information and said they'd investigate. He told me I'd also need to file disputes with the credit card companies and provide them with a copy of the police report. I did exactly that. I spent the next week on the phone with banks, credit bureaus, and fraud departments, explaining what happened over and over again. The credit card companies launched investigations. They contacted Linda. She denied everything at first, but they had records of her using the cards, her address on the accounts, and even security footage from a few stores where she'd used them in person. Within a month, all 3 accounts were flagged as fraudulent, and the debt was removed from my credit report. My credit score started to recover, but my family fell apart. My mom called me crying, saying I'd destroyed Linda's life. My aunt was facing criminal charges. She might go to jail. She definitely had to pay back the money she'd stolen. My mom said I should have just worked it out privately, that I didn't need to get the police involved. I told her Linda committed a felony and that I had every right to protect myself. My mom said I was being selfish and cruel. Other family members started reaching out. My uncle, Linda's ex-husband, called to yell at me. He said I was tearing the family apart and that Linda made a mistake but didn't deserve to go to jail. I reminded him that they'd been divorced for years and that this had nothing to do with him. He said I was heartless. My cousin, Linda's daughter, sent me a long text about how I was ruining her mom's life and that I should be ashamed of myself. I couldn't believe it. I was the victim. I didn't open those credit cards. I didn't rack up $12,000 in debt. I didn't commit fraud. But somehow, I was the bad guy. My mom stopped talking to me. My aunt sent me messages saying I was dead to her. My grandma called and said I should forgive Linda because family forgives family. I asked her if she'd forgive someone who stole from her and destroyed her credit. She didn't have an answer. The only people who supported me were my dad and my brother. My dad said I did the right thing, that what Linda did was illegal, and that I had to protect myself. My brother said the rest of the family was being ridiculous, and that they were enabling Linda's behavior. It helped to have them on my side, but it didn't make it hurt any less that half my family had turned against me. Linda ended up pleading guilty to identity theft. She got probation, community service, and had to pay restitution. She didn't go to jail, but she had a criminal record. My mom blamed me for that. She said if I had just let it go, none of this would have happened. I told her if Linda hadn't committed a crime, none of this would have happened. We didn't talk for almost a year after that. During that time, I focused on rebuilding my credit and moving on with my life. It took about 2 years for my credit score to fully recover. I eventually got that car loan. I moved into a better apartment. I started dating someone who actually respected me. Life got better, but I couldn't shake the anger and hurt from what my family had done. My mom reached out eventually. She didn't apologize, but she said she missed me and wanted to talk. We met up, and she said she understood why I did what I did, but that it had been hard on everyone. I told her it had been hard on me too, and that I was the one who got screwed over. She nodded but didn't say much else. Our relationship has never been the same since. Linda and I haven't spoken since the day I filed the police report. My cousin still won't talk to me. My uncle sends passive-aggressive messages on holidays. My grandma tries to play peacemaker, but it's awkward every time we're in the same room. I've accepted that some relationships are just broken now. And that's okay. I didn't break them. They did. Here's what I learned from all of this. People will protect the person they're closest to, even if that person is wrong. My family didn't care that I was the victim, because they cared more about protecting Linda. They didn't want to deal with the consequences of her actions, so they tried to guilt me into staying quiet. And when I refused, they turned on me. If someone steals your identity, report it. I don't care if it's a family member, a friend, or a stranger. Protect yourself. Your credit affects your ability to get loans, buy a house, rent an apartment, and even get certain jobs. Letting someone destroy that because you're afraid of hurting their feelings is not worth it. They didn't care about hurting you when they committed the crime. People told me I should have handled it privately, but there's no private way to fix identity theft. The debt was in my name. The only way to remove it was to prove it was fraud. And the only way to prove it was fraud was to report it. I didn't have a choice. Well, I did have a choice. I could have kept quiet, paid off $12,000 I didn't owe, and lived with destroyed credit for years. But that's not a choice. That's just letting someone get away with ruining your life. My aunt didn't think about me when she opened those credit cards. She didn't think about how it would affect my future. She only thought about herself. And when she got caught, she still only thought about herself. She didn't apologize. She didn't offer to fix it. She just cried and played the victim, and my family enabled that. I don't regret what I did. I protected myself. I did what I had to do, and if my family can't understand that, then they're not people I need in my life. It sucks. It hurts. But I'm better off without people who expect me to set myself on fire to keep them warm. If you're going through something similar, know that you're not wrong for protecting yourself. You're not cruel for holding people accountable. You're not selfish for refusing to take on debt that isn't yours. Family doesn't mean letting people hurt you without consequences. Real family wouldn't put you in that position in the first place. My aunt tried to steal my identity, destroyed my credit, and when I exposed her, my whole family turned on me.